This is Phoebe's car. It's a 2008 Nissan Sentra. It's got about 120,000 miles on it, I think.
125 maybe.
Sounds good. I realized that replacing a wheel bearing on a car may be kind of a big thing for somebody to do that's never really worked on cars. So, and it's completely understandable. Recommend getting a professional to do it anytime that you don't feel comfortable doing something, or you can get your dad to do it. We've got to jack the car up. Usually there's going to be some kind of jack that looks about like this. Also, usually there is some kind of spot on the car, this area right here, these two notches right here. That's where you would jack up the car. Now, I can't just sit here and turn this. It's just too difficult.
Yeah.
So they usually give you something like this to go along with it. And this doubles. You can see that it's got this is for your lug nuts, taking your lug nuts off. But it's also got this little spot right here. What you'll do, put it right there, and that helps you to turn it. And like superhuman strength, you can lift an entire car.
Wow.
We want the tire to still be touching, and we're going to loosen the lug nuts before it gets too far, because it's easier to loosen those with it still touching the ground. We're going to start with that one. And the easiest way to do this, because there's not much length here, you can't just usually push down on it.
Right.
Get up here and push down with your foot.
Yeah,
and it goes real easy.
That way you're using all of your body strength.
Right. That's as far as you want to go for now, as far as loosening that one up. Go on to the next one. Get it in a position where you can stand on it and push down. I saved the last one because you can see that it doesn't look like the others. This is a theft-proof or theft deterrent lug nut. This is a special socket that you use for that special lug nut. Kind of spin it around until it goes into place. All right. Then you take this and do the same thing you did with the others. So now that we've got all four loosened, we're going to continue to jack up the car. Good. All right. Now that we've got it off the ground, you can see that it kind of rocks freely, so we know it's off the ground. At this point, we can take this out of the way, get our wrench, and continue to take these all the way off. I'm going to pull it straight off. This part right here is called the rotor. This part is called the brake caliper. Inside here are the brake pads. Brake pads and the caliper ride on the rotor. When you push on your brakes, this caliper squeezes the brake pads together and stops the rotation of the rotor. The next step for replacing this wheel bearing is going to be removing this little pin right here. You can see it turning. It's called a cotter pin.
What are these?
These are my giant wire cutters, great for grabbing things like this. You got to be able to get a good grab on it and bend it. Bend it out like that so that it's straight. And then you want to kind of work it out of that hole. That's what it looks like. All right, now the next step, we've got to get this giant nut right here off. And it's a 32 millimeter nut. We're going to pick our 32 millimeter socket. And then it goes just like that. A 1/2 inch breaker bar, that's what this is called. This is the very end of our axle. The axle is right here, and it goes straight into the transmission back up in there. If we just went ahead and started trying to put pressure on this, it could potentially damage the inside of the transmission, which we don't want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have Ellie come over here. I want you to get in the car and just push on the brakes and hold it. Hold the pedal down. And I'll show you what happens whenever she does that. So I can freely move it. And now that she has her foot on the brake, I can't move it anymore. So she's going to hold that still while we break this nut loose. And you can step on it probably. That'll be good too. But another method is to get you'll slide it on the end, and it gives you more leverage to push down on. All right, so Ellie has her foot on the brake, so this rotor won't move. And I'm going to push down on this until it breaks loose, but we're having issues with it, but we'll get it. Dang. That nut is loose. The next step is we're going to take the brake caliper off. If you can't get any leverage to push that down, you can always take a hammer and just tap on it until it gets loose a little bit. See how it's going down? Get the top one completely out. All right, now that we have the two bolts out of our caliper, we can't leave it here because it'll be in the way. So what we're going to do is pull it off. All right, it's loose from the rotor. We're going to take it and tie it up here out of the way. We'll go through a hole here and then tie it off to this spring up here. This part may be a little bit awkward to do, but just take your time and be careful and be safe. You just don't want to damage that hose, because if you do, you're going to have to replace that too. We're going to take this nut completely off. So something we didn't explain earlier was this little doohickey right here. This is called your ABS sensor. And it's a sensor that we need to take out in order to do the work we're going to be doing. Pull that completely out of there. You just want to make sure that it's clean, doesn't have any debris on it, and then the rotor comes off. All right, the next step is going to be to take the actual bearing off. There's 4 bolts holding our bearing assembly in place. Again, this is the end of the axle. We're going to gently knock it in to get it loose from the wheel bearing assembly. You can see how it's starting to move. All right, that's about it. We just want to make sure that it's loose. This is an extension. Basically gives you more length between you and the what you're working on. In case there's something in the way, lots of different reasons for using an extension, but I think it's pretty self-explanatory. All right, now we're gonna take and tap on our ratchet. To get that first one loose. All right, we're gonna do the same thing with this one. Until we got that one loose also. My dad hat's in the way of getting my hat off. As you can see, my hands are filthy, but that's just part of it. We got all 4 of these bearing assembly bolts loose. You see it twisting right there. All right. So, as you can see, it still is not moving. So we have to take our hammer and knock it loose. Try not to hit anything else. Just want to hit it in different spots. It's coming.
Righty.
Yeah, this side is in much better shape than the other side.
Yeah, the other side was making like rattly noises. This one's making no noise.
This is what the other side looked like in comparison. You can see that huge gap right there and how loose that is. This is really bad. You can hear that little ticking inside. Those are loose ball bearings. You see the difference and how much cleaner this new one is.
Yeah.